Barbara Salsberg Matthews. I'm 65 years old. And if I'm moving on from time to time, it's because I've got a really wrecked back and I'll be having back surgery probably in September. I was a high school visual art and drama teacher, but towards the end of my teaching career, I was very honored to become the head of a wonderful art department with the Toronto District School Board. The school was called Northern Secondary School. And I also had a varied career in that I was a corporate trainer and I was an inventor of interactive training tools and a public speaker and an illustrator and author of children's books published by Annick Press. And I also have a corporate training book published called Type in Action, published in Palo Alto, California. And now I have Parkinson's. Parkinson's reminds me of how precious life is. And I'm aware of my diminishing time and energy to get things done. So I've gotten rid of negative people from my life. And I focus on today and what I can leave behind. And if I hear good music playing, you can be sure I'll be dancing to it.
So how has Parkinson's disease changed your life?
Well, I had to rewrite my future. I was planning to go full tilt boogie on being a visual artist and sell my work. And I started off on a really good foot. And that had to stop. In fact, I felt quite down after hearing this diagnosis that I really didn't do any painting or drawing for about 2 years. I was quite depressed. But we also had COVID. So I did illustrations. I did small illustrations and that helped. So I'm going to ask you, what was the question again? If you can, that's a part.
I think you answered it pretty well. It was like, how has it changed your life? And you mentioned that you had to like rewrite your future and that you're going ahead with this plan, and then it really like stopped. It altered the course of your life.
Well, now I'm focusing on what I can leave behind. It's not so much what I can take, because I can't take it with me. It's just leaving behind. And I also take less shit. I have no patience for bullshit. But I have to choose carefully. Is this to fight? There's a mountain, an uphill battle. Is it, how much energy and time will it cost me to die on this mountain? You know, and then I make a choice. I think I need to speak out about this.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't talk about that. But so you feel that this is it, right? This is our life, and I don't want regrets. So I sometimes fast forward and look back, and I think, would I have some regrets? And I go, yeah, I better say that to that person, or I better keep my mouth shut here.
Yeah.
It helps you make choices.
Yeah. How has Parkinson's influenced your relationship with family, friends, and caregivers, if you have any?
I basically speak my mind. I say I have Parkinson's. When I'm at the grocery store, for example, when I was alone and my husband couldn't come help me, and there was a long lineup, and I knew I'm going to get stressed because I don't like having people waiting. I just said, guys, I have Parkinson's. I'm going to move slower. It's just what it is. And I just do my thing. And if people react, and they sometimes react like, they're trying to look, is she shaking? I just think that's their response. But I'm going to be upfront. This is who I am. So, and say the question again, Claire, and that's that PD fog coming in. It's
no worries.
Nap time.
So how has the disease really influenced your relationship with family and friends?
I think that I've become closer. I've become more patient because I see that how much slower I am, especially going on an up inclined hill, walking upstairs, that I have more compassion and empathy than I had before. I almost feel like going back in time and begging my friends and family, forgive me for being so impatient, because now I realize there are certain things I just cannot do. So, but it makes me, I say I love you a lot more.
My next question for you is, what support systems have you found the most helpful in managing Parkinson's disease?
My Parky friends. I find a lot of my Parky friends I got through Twitter. And from attending the World Parkinson's Congress in Barcelona last July, I'm still in touch with many of my friends and the local support group. A lot of people now, because I'm so open that I have Parkinson's, send me their newly diagnosed friends and family members. And I always say, look, I'm just sharing with you what I know as a person with Parkinson's. I'm not a medical expert, but I share with them my experiences, and I might guide them over here to that resource. So that's changed.
No, and I think that's so important. I've met with other patients as well, and one patient in particular, he said that like very similar thing, like his best system has been like the people he's met through Parkinson's disease and how you support each other, because it's like, oh, like this worked for me, like this medication or this little trick, like this little thing worked for me, and you really learn from each other, which is so amazing.
Well, another thing I found, Claire, is helping others who are less fortunate than me. It makes me feel good. I just finished working with a family where one of the parents had severe, fast-moving ALS, the
Mm,
Lou Gehrig's disease, and that was what would happen over a course of a year. Usually, for someone with ALS, happened within 1 month. So I
mhm.
was working with that person and their family. February, March, April, May, and a bit of June, they died. But
Oh,
they got the legacy project that we were working on together,
mm,
and that made me feel very, very good that I could help give some meaning to them, and
mhm.
took me out of myself, because otherwise sometimes I say, oh, poor me.
Yeah.
So that's what I do to get forget my problems, is to help other people. I'm very selfish. That's why I do it.
Good. No, that is so important to help other people. Again, we can all learn from you. These should be things that we're implementing in our daily lives. How do you prioritize your physical and mental well-being while living with Parkinson's disease?
Well, it's tricky. I like to stay healthy and work out. I have been since I had my children over 30 years ago. I was working out religiously Monday through Friday. And I then recently, after getting Parkinson's, I was riding a spinning bike and doing high intermittent spinning, like 1 minute, really high intensity. I work towards 90-95% capacity of my heart and lungs. Then I alternate, do 1 minute at 10% capacity, back and forth, back and forth. And that's a fabulous cardio workout. And it also helped my muscles. And then I did a stretch and strength with weights, and what was it? I would work with tensor bandage, and I love that. Except then my back, I really have a huge back injury, herniated disc, sciatica, spondylosis, on and on, and I need surgery. So because of that, I've shifted not to doing the harsh exercise, but I do walk and stretch and strength. Having moved recently took almost all my energy and time. It was very hard to do things because of bending and packing and lifting. So I took some time off the heavy exercise, but I hope to get back to it soon.
Yeah, well, even walking, I've actually started walking more recently. Like in the mornings, like I'll wake up, like eat some breakfast, and I'm like, okay, I'll go on like a 15-minute walk. I have a really nice park like outside my house, and I
Yeah,
have enjoyed it so much. Like I throw in like a podcast, and like it gets my heart rate moving, like gets my body moving. Like I actually really enjoy it.
I use poles,
Oh,
which
yeah, yeah.
take the weight off my knees, and
Mhm.
it makes my upper body work out.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's really good, and they telescope real small and very light.
Oh, very like compact, like very portable.
I put them in my backpack, and in the winter I take the rubber tips off, and then the metal spikes help prevent me from falling.
Oh, I think I've seen those. Yeah, I've seen people with those.
Black Diamond from Mountain Equipment Co-op. I should
Well, if
get
I ever
10%.
need some, I know where to go. Okay, my next question is, what advice would you give to someone newly diagnosed with Parkinson's disease?
Take a breath, step back, know that you are going to manage okay. Get informed, but not overly informed. I immediately read the worst, the end stage, and my daughter read the end stage and started to cry. And I thought, okay, I'm dying. So I would say, take a breath, talk to somebody who is wise. And that often could be the PD support group leader. It is helpful if they have a trained background in social work, nursing, for example, because sometimes with Parkinson's comes depression and anxiety and suicide. So you want someone who's an informed guide on the side. Parkinson's Canada, Michael J. Fox Foundation, Parkinson's Europe, they're great for resources. And I think it's important to keep a journal, document the medications and how you react and respond. There's a couple of free apps. The one I would recommend, because I know it, is it's My Moves Matter. And it's put together by another woman with early onset Parkinson, Rochelle Flanagan. And I like that because when you talk to your neurologist, and hopefully you get a movement disorder neurologist, I'd highly recommend that, not just a generalist, because they can only go so far. And as the disease progresses, you need someone who's specialized, who understands the nuances of the medications and the interplay with them. So get the app, My Moves Matter, speak to someone who's wise, usually through a Parkinson's support group or one of the organizations I mentioned. Get the book that Davis Finney has available called Every Victory Counts. And there's a Canadian version as well that you can get for free. I think Parkinson's Canada and Davis Finney Foundation, they work together on that resource. So I hope that helps. And keep active. Physical fitness is so essential. It's your medicine. My neurologist, who is a movement disorder specialist, said in the 1 year, my PD has not progressed in 1 year. And I think that's from keeping on walking in my case, and also having meaning in my life. So it's helping others, put my focus on what can I leave behind, and enjoying and savoring right now.
Oh, I think that is definitely like great advice for someone newly diagnosed and even people with later stage, like continuing the exercise and just finding purpose and meaning in life, I think is so beneficial to everyone.
Very important. I used to get so pissed off and angry easily. Oh, hurry up! You're, in the car, move, move. And now I just go, I have music playing in the back of my mind a lot.
Yeah.
Relax.
It's like c'est la vie, like that's life.
Some things are worth fighting over, though. But
Yeah.
I would say I don't do that with everything. Some things I get mad.
I want to know, like, what is something on your bucket list? Something that you want to do?
Well, I still want to see the what's that called? The Borealis, those northern lights.
Oh, the
I want to see
oh,
Yeah, northern lights.
Aurora Borealis?
Yeah, but you said it, not me. And that would be
Yeah.
great. That would be nice. I'd love to meet Michael J. Fox. He's my hero. I guess I wish I might have some grandbabies, but don't tell my children that. They're not there yet. But it doesn't really matter because I have adopted many other children as my own, as my grandchildren. Yeah, I love kids and I love doggies.
Oh, I love kids and doggies as well.
Yeah, they're very important to me.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, and then my last question for you is,
Bucket list. A cure for Parkinson's.
oh, I think
Yeah.
that's number one.
Yeah. And improve quality of day-to-day life for people with Parkinson's. That would be the top bucket list item, even before seeing the Northern Lights.
Amazing. Okay, so let's begin. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your progression with Parkinson's disease?
Sure. So I'm a patient advocate. I was diagnosed about 11 years ago. At the time, I was living and working in China. But then, the disease progressed, and I realized that China's not the best place to live with a disease like this. So I decided to come home. When I did so, I was pretty determined to try and do something about this disease for myself and for others. So I started to travel from one lab to the next, asking a lot of prodding questions, um, and making sure that patients were at the center of everything that everyone was doing. And that's kind of what led me to this new role as a patient advocate, where I work with Rune Labs very closely. And also 3 years ago, I got this deep brain stimulator implanted in me as well.
That's so amazing. Thank you for that. And the next question, how does Parkinson's disease affect your daily routine and life?
So these days it doesn't really affect me that much. Um, just because through my DBS, my symptoms are fairly well controlled. Although I should say that I do have a tremor from time to time. Sometimes my gait gets a little wobbly as well, and my balance not as good as it would be as it should be, and my voice is not as strong as I'd like it to be. But all things considered, I've had this diagnosis now for 11 years, and I think I'm doing fairly well. But things are not perfect, although no one's really living a perfect life anyway.
I can definitely attest to that. I think nobody's life is really perfect anyway. So that's amazing to hear. I'm glad you're doing well. You sound well. You look amazing. So that's great to hear. And the next question, what is the most difficult part about living with Parkinson's disease?
Um, well, the most difficult part is just keeping in mind that whatever I'm experiencing, whatever I might be going through, that's really just my own experience. I mean, there's a common saying in this field where if you've met one person with Parkinson's, you've met one person with Parkinson's. It's very much true. I'm not sure that we're even dealing with one disease. I think it might be multiple different diseases. They all get lumped together into the same clinical umbrella. Um, and the most difficult part then for as a patient then is finding out what will work for each individual person who gets diagnosed. What will work for you as an individual. For me, that's been one of the most challenging parts of this disease. I'm glad to have navigated it as well as I possibly can, but I have a lot of friends and family, not family, I have a lot of friends in the Parkinson's community who are struggling right now mightily, and seeing what they're going through, seeing the struggle, seeing the daily grind that this disease imposes on them, it's hard. It's not an easy thing to have to just sit here and watch and feel kind of helpless as you're just sitting and watching as well.
No, I definitely agree with that. And I've even met with a couple different patients, and from patient to patient, it's just such a different disease. And there's so many different, even variation of the complexity of symptoms, combination of symptoms. And it's truly, it will never be a universal kind of experience with Parkinson's disease.
Yeah.
And then my next question for you is, what is the diagnosis process like for you?
For me, it was fairly straightforward because my aunt is a GP. She came over one day. She saw my hand was tremoring. I was on a trip back home from China at the time, and she referred me to a movement disorder specialist who was able to diagnose me almost on the spot. So it wasn't that complicated for me.
Oh, that is very, very simple. I'm glad that that was very good for you. I've heard some stories about some doctors that were not very good to patients and that weren't really listening to the patient's needs and everything. So it's really good to hear that you had a very good experience with the diagnosis.
Yeah, a big problem that a lot of patients have is getting to see the right specialists as well.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And
a
again,
lot
it
of them,
presents so many different ways.
yeah.
So the next question, so are you currently on any treatments? I know you have the DBS.
DBS, I'm not on any other medications right now.
Amazing. And then how has Parkinson's disease changed your life as a whole?
Well, like I said, before this, I was working in China at the time. I kind of gave up that career to become an advocate for myself and for others. And that's basically how I live my life right now. So it's changed almost every aspect of my life. But it's a lot of changes for the better as well. I should like mention some of the positives that I get to do a lot of traveling. I travel all around the world. And that's something that I still love. I'm still very passionate about traveling. And it's introduced me to a wide variety of people as well. I mean, so another thing that people often say in this community is, I hate that you have the disease. I hate that I have this disease. I hate the annoying parts about it. But I do like all the people I've encountered as a result of having this disease. I do like the variety of people. I do like all these people that I have call on as friends as well. I've stayed in people's houses all around the world as a result of having this disease, just having that connection with them. So I'm grateful for all of the individuals that's connected me to.
That's a great answer, and I definitely agree with that. Even just working on this project, I've met so many amazing people in the Parkinson's community, from doctors to patients and to specialists in it. It's been so amazing to meet so many people. I was wondering actually, what's your favorite place that you've traveled then, if you love traveling so much?
Probably, well, it was actually in my early 20s. I went to Ghana. That was a pretty memorable trip as well. But I didn't have Parkinson's at the time. I don't know if you mean before or after I had Parkinson's, but I really like Africa. I really like that part of Africa. I was born there. I was born in Kenya, so it was a very like spiritual thing for me to go back to the kind of the continent that I was born. And and yeah, so
Oh,
Ghana
that's
would be my
amazing.
answer.
Yeah, amazing answer. And then, so my next question for you are, what are some of your current hobbies that you enjoy?
Uh, I like sports. I like to watch the Blue Jays and the Raptors a lot. I like traveling, as I mentioned. I like eating food. I don't know, just living my life and trying to be as normal as I possibly can be.
Okay, if you're a Jays fan and a Raptors fan, do you like the Leafs?
I do not like hockey that much, unfortunately.
Ah, no way. I love the Leafs, but they disappoint me every single year, so it's hard to be a fan anymore.
Yeah, that's a big part of the reason why I'm not a Leafs fan.
That's fair enough. There's a lot of people that just can't do it anymore. It's so
Yeah.
difficult. My next question is, what advice would you give to someone newly diagnosed with Parkinson's disease?
Well, the one piece of advice that I've stuck to for a while now is don't let anyone else define this disease for you. You should define it for yourself. There's a lot of like clinical labels people throw at you. There's a lot of information that just it doesn't apply to you specifically. One of the good examples that there's like 50 different symptoms that have been tied to Parkinson's. You'll only end up getting like 4 or 5 of them. So don't think that you're gonna suddenly become like demented or that all the bad things are just gonna happen to you. The most likely things that you won't get all the symptoms that are associated with anyone with this disease. So don't focus too narrowly on them, and then make sure to live your life as well. I mean, yes, it sucks to have a disease like Parkinson's, but you still have a chance to live. So there's still good things that you can do with your life. Um, and even though you'll be limited in some ways in some of the things you can do, there are other avenues you'll be able that will open up to you. So just be responsive to all the opportunities might be available for you.
Oh, that's a very positive outlook on life. I love that. And then my next question for you is, have you participated in any clinical trials or experimental treatments for Parkinson's? And if so, what were your experiences? So mostly, what was your experience with DBS like?
So I'm actually still in a clinical trial for DBS. It's called the Adapt PD trial. It's testing this new software that actually has an adaptive algorithm built into it. So, and this adaptive algorithm, I credit that actually with allowing me to bring down my medication as much as I have. I think that it's working even better than the standard DBS for me. Um, how, and yeah, I can go into the details if you want how I think it works or I understand it to work.
Yeah, like how have you found it to be working like in your life? Has it been very positive? It must have alleviated a lot of your symptoms.
Yeah, it's been very positive. So the way that the algorithm works is that it reads out your beta signals. Beta waves are between 60 and 36 hertz from your subthalamic nucleus, and it uses that to actually determine how much stimulation you need. Because beta signals have been found to correlate pretty closely with symptom severity. And so if your symptoms tend, so usually what happens with the older versions of DBS is when you reach like your threshold, you have to go back to the clinic and they have to actually bump you up themselves if you actually want to get more stimulation. But now with this new algorithm, it's learning on the fly, so it's actually trying to tailor whatever stimulation you might need to your specific needs throughout the day.
That is so cool. So it's kind of like AI almost like machine learning, like it's learning from you, from your signals.
It's more responsive than
Response.
AI would be, but in the future, there's actually I've also had the chance to like speak to a bunch of companies in the field, get
Mhm.
to know a lot of the people that are driving this research forward. In the future, there's a hope actually to be able to use some of the machine learning algorithms so that it will then be able to truly adapt and truly become this kind of adaptive machine, and then I'll really be able to feel and look a little more like a cyborg.
Tell me your name and a little bit about yourself, Larry.
My name is Larry Gifford. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2017. I founded a podcast called When Life Gives You Parkinson's in 2018. And then in 2021, we founded the PD Avengers, which is a global alliance to end Parkinson's disease. We have 8,000 members. We've got 150 partners in 103 different countries. And last October, which was October of 2023, I had deep brain stimulation. And so I had brain surgery while I was awake, which is not on my bucket list, but I'm glad I had it. And so here we are today.
That's an amazing introduction, and that's actually very interesting. I've met someone else with DBS, which is super cool to hear. So that is, yeah, and the brain surgery when awake. Oh, wow. How was that for you?
That was great, actually.
Was it great? Oh, that would
Yeah.
terrify me. Can you like hear can you
You
hear it?
hear everything.
Oh, and wow, that would terrify
You
me.
can't feel anything.
Yeah, I know you can't feel it, but like you hear, like, don't they do like a little bit of drilling on
Oh,
the
a little bit, yeah.
A little bit. Gotta get through the skull.
And then you can feel the whoosh coming out of your head when they push through.
Ah,
Yeah, I know.
you say that was a good experience?
It was actually, yeah.
Okay.
It was-
That's good. That is,
Then I got to communicate with the doctors throughout. So as they're fine tuning, I'm like, oh, that feels weird, or So
they gotta be
part-
careful with what they say because you can hear everything.
Right,
Maybe
yeah.
oops.
I don't want to hear
Probably the
that.
last thing you want to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, and my next question is, what is something positive that you're looking forward to in your life right now?
I am looking forward to that's a good question. What am I looking forward to? Well, I'm looking forward to speaking in October in Montreal, and then again in Austin in November.
That is exciting. And what are you speaking about? You
Parkinson's.
Parkinson's? Is it with the PD Avengers?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Well, that's some nice travel. You said Montreal, and what was the other one? Houston?
Austin.
Oh, Boston.
Austin.
Oh, Austin, Texas.
Yes.
Yes. Very different places.
Very different places.
Well, that's exciting. Some nice travel coming up. That's
Yeah.
just like us. We're going to Paris soon. Sooner than I hope. Like it's crazy coming up really fast.
That's awesome.
And my next question for you is, how does Parkinson's disease affect your daily routine in life?
Well, so I used to work like 7 in the morning to 7 at night. I was a radio professional. I was program director. And then since I've had Parkinson's, I no longer work a full-time job. And I have to take a nap every day. I get extreme fatigue. I've got to time out my pills, and even though I had DBS, I still take some pills, and so you have to plan that out and set your timers, and you got to listen to your body a lot more. And when your body says it needs a break, you got to break.
Only on any treatments, I think you mentioned levodopa, but if you're on DBS, I think you do still take maybe a little bit of levodopa or reduce.
I was on 21 pills before the surgery. Now I'm on 1.
Oh,
And so I have 1 of the 125 over 25, 100 over 25. And then there's the extended release. I take 2 of it at night.
okay. That's a big reduction, actually. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's huge.
That is, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
How have you found DBS so far?
It's hard to dial in. I mean, because there's so many different things that you can adjust. So like and with each adjustment, you're giving up something to gain something.
Yeah, it's like a teeter-totter.
So you got to go, okay, do I care that I can't control my body temperature, or do I care that there's all sorts of crazy things.
Okay, and my next question is, are there any resources or communities that have been particularly valuable to you in your journey with Parkinson's? I'm going to assume PD Avengers, of course, but any other?
As a co-founder, yeah. I would say the Michael J. Fox Foundation. I'm on the patient council there, but even before then, they had reached out early in my journey and took me out for a coffee and just talked with me about it and gave me information, answered some questions I had. Same with the Parkinson's Society of British Columbia. I'd say those are the two most influential.
That's amazing. So you said Michael J. Fox Foundation, like before you were on the council, they like reached out to you as a patient to like.
Yeah, well, they saw, they showed up in a couple of their news clips for launching my podcast, and so
Ah, I see.
they don't do that for everybody.
I was gonna say, like, do they just like personally contact every patient? But that makes sense. Okay, my next question is, what advice would you give to someone newly diagnosed with Parkinson's disease?
It's not the end of the world. It there's going to be very difficult days. There's going to be days where you forget you have it. And you got to find yourself, you listen to your body and find a way to accept Parkinson's as part of your life, but not let it define you.
And those are some great words. Like, that is truly so inspirational.